Through this? Through this? Yeah, as soon as you Get somewhere. What about you?
Other things that are really, other things that are
Up the road? Up the road, I'm going fine, as usual.
Hello, good morning. I just have to thank everyone for taking the time out to be here this morning. I know it's a early start and not everyone is here yet, but we're going to get started as we want the day to get going, and I'm sure our colleagues will join us as the day progresses. My name is Janelle Ross-McIntyre, and I'll be your moderator for today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm also a member of the Internet Society, which is the body that is putting on this event today. This is in chapter of the Internet Society. This is our inaugural event. So it's the first event that we're doing since inception. And we know that it's going to be successful. I want to thank you again for taking the time out to be part of this event. Okay. We have a packed day today, an agenda that takes us up to 3 o'clock. And we're going to open up with a prayer by Ms. Pauline Weeks. She's going to open us up with a prayer.
Okay, morning everyone. Let us fervently bow our heads and close our eyes as we quote each other praise. Eternal and most gracious God, you are the eternal God, you are awesome, and your name is worthy to be praised. We want to thank you, dear God, for traveling mercy to bring us here safely. Want to thank you, dear God, for watching over us through the course of the night. In a very special way, as we begin today, I pray, dear God, that you may be with every organizer, be with every presenter this morning, be with every participant this morning. I pray, dear God, in a very special way that you may anoint us and that your blessing will come down. And help, their God, that whatever we learn here, that we put it into practice. So as we open today, their God, I pray that the Holy Spirit will touch every hand and be with us and take full control and guide us through this session we ask in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Weeks. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Charles Berg, who is going to assist with the opening remarks. He's the General Manager of NCTI and our gracious host at this point in time. So,
We don't talk about that.
But I said, yeah, let me.
We have the anthem.
Yeah.
somebody was
You lead us.
Okay. Yeah, good morning. Once again. Let me welcome you to the NCTI. Let me welcome you to this Internet Governance Forum, sponsored by the Internet Society chapter of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The theme of the 3-day session is bringing local awareness to how the Internet is governed. And over the next 3 days or so, I know that participants will be brought up to date as to basically what is really the Internet and how it is really managed. Because there are several aspects, different organizations and different entities that are responsible for different aspects of the Internet. For example, you have the domain name system. We basically, you would have a name instead of a number. And the domain name system is managed by an organization. You have the IP addressing system. Basically, to get information across the Internet, you need an IP address to be able to connect across, because names don't work, numbers work. So there's also the organization that's responsible for the IP addressing. There's also content management. Basically, there's some sort of people who manage content on the Internet. There's security. Basically, the Internet has to be a secure platform. So over the next few days, we'll be looking at, I don't know if it's as broad as I mentioned there, but we're looking at basically how the Internet itself is being governed and the different organizations. Like you might hear some term like ICANN, different organizations. And one thing with the Internet, there's a lot of abbreviations that you'll be hearing, a lot of abbreviations that you have to get familiar with, right? So I hope that the next 3 days, coming here today, and after Wednesday, most of us will be a little more aware of the issues and basically how the Internet is really managed and governed. And some of the organizations, I mean, there's a lot of organizations, though, but at least we'll leave you with some knowledge as to how things really work. The Internet Society of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a young organization, and we have a lot of work to do in relation to spreading the word about the Internet, because the Internet is being used by preschoolers, it's being used by children in private schools, by secondary schools, and general public. So we have a big task ahead of us as to how we really go about educating our people in relation to the use of the Internet, and because the Internet could be a good thing as well as it also could be a bad thing. So I hope that this Internet Society of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in future may be able to go to the schools and the different organizations and try to educate the young people as to how you properly use the Internet. So let me say again, welcome everybody, and hope you have a very productive day today and the upcoming days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bud. Welcome to those who just recently joined us. Thank you for honoring today. So just to follow on with what Mr. Bud said, this is an event hosted by the Internet Society, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines chapter. Now, the Internet Society is an organization that is global, and to have such a presence here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, representing us as a people and championing our issues in terms of the use of the Internet as consumers. We're all consumers of the Internet, and it is like a world in itself when you think about the Internet. We have the physical world, and you think that's the virtual world. And to have a local representation, bring into awareness our local issues as it relates to Internet connectivity, security, engagement, access,
is very, very crucial, and it is very important. So we appreciate your support, and we encourage you to also share knowledge and awareness of the Internet Society with friends, relatives, colleagues, so that interested persons can reach out, become involved, become a member. Anyone can become a member, and champion productive and open, a secure and successful internet usage in internet identity. So that is one way of encouraging. Just to outline how the day is going to run, each of us should have an agenda in our conference packs. So we had the opening remarks by Mr. Berg, which is going to follow on by a feature address by Dr. Gerald Thompson. Then we're going to have introduction to the chapter, a bit more about the chapter by Dr. Andrew Gaines. We're going to have a feature presentation by a Stefan Player, just a bit of entertainment to break the monotony of internet. Followed by a networking break. So just a bit of tea, coffee, juice, and a little bit of sweet munchies to refresh us. We're going to have a presentation by Mr. Hanif Sanalan, who's going to look at what is internet governance and the issues, and it's going to be a discussion and presentation. So we encourage you to be interactive and participate. Then we're going to have a quick lunch at 12:30 to 1:30, an hour's lunch. Networking, so more discussion, more interaction, followed on by a second presentation by Mr. Hanif Sutherland. Encryption, privacy, and security, very key issues. So please be sure to be here and join us this afternoon for that. Our third presentation for the day comes from Ms. Harriet Kane, Regional and International Internet Governance Ecosystem. Then we're going to have an open forum for questions and general discussion, both hands, and then we're going to close for the day. Now, today is one of 3 days. It's day 1 of 3, because this is a remote operation and part of a bigger conference, which is the 13th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum that is put on by the CTU, right? And that currently is being taking place in the BVI, right? So as our conference is kicking off now, theirs is kicking off as well. And we're going to be remotely connecting to them and being able to hear what is being discussed, hear what's being presented, and have a virtual connection to be there and be part of this event. It is hosted by the CTU and CARICOM, right? And it currently considers the increasing pervasive nature of the internet, right? And the role that ICTs play in society, which is a very, very crucial role. It considers open discussions by bodies such as ICANN related to matters of neutrality, privacy, and security. It's going to review the progress of previous strategies that would have been put in place, because this is an annual thing. This is the 13th conference that is being held by the CTU. So they would have had previous strategies put in place last year, but see how effective it is. And what I want us to do here, what is the purpose of this forum, is for us to really consider citizen and grenadines in the context of these discussions. How do they affect us here as a country? All right. It is also going to explore ways of spreading awareness for Caribbean growth through internet economy. Right, so that is a key discussion point that we need to consider, and building capacity in internet governance to enable, maintain, and strengthen effective Caribbean participation and representation at global internet governance forums. Right, So that is the goal for the conference as a whole. As I said, it's 3 days. The next 2 days, tomorrow and on Wednesday, we will be remote having, and we will provide the agendas. We'll be following the agenda of the CGU forum directly. So we advise you to have early, get yourself settled, so we can settle in and be part of every bit of that event. Right now, I'd like to welcome Dr. Gerald Thomas, our featured speaker. Thompson, sorry, my apologies. Dr. Thompson is a medical doctor with a specialty in internal medicine, a subspecialty in allergy and infectious diseases. He has a master's in public health. He's been a representative of Parliament for the period 2001 to 2010, president of CGU 2003 to 2007, director, special projects and advisor to the PM as it relates to ICTs and energy. He's chairman of National Energy Committee and a proud member of the ISOC SVG. So let's welcome Dr. Thompson.
Thank you very much, Dave. Let me say a pleasant good morning to everyone. And I'm sure I'm not really expected to talk anything technical. It's such an esteemed gathering. But I want to start off with talking a little about groups, because a fatal misconception behind groups, frank discussion, brainstorm, is that a particular script should be followed in normal group interaction. And when the composition of a group is right, and it's varied, enough people with different perspectives running into each other in unpredictable ways, the group dynamic often takes care of itself. And all the errant discussion and opinions add up and usually produce some element of synergy that may even be more essential, an essential part of the creative process. And although such conversations will occasionally be unpleasant, not everyone is always in the mood for small talk or criticism. And that doesn't mean that this can be avoided, but the most creative spaces are often those which hurl people together. And it is the human friction that makes the spark. And it's with that. The gathering is currently small, but I've been particularly impressed by the number of persons who are represented by this chapter, at least for the online record. And there is some reason why they may not be so keen on hearing small talk for persons like me, you know, but that they'll be here for the more meat of the discussions later this afternoon and tomorrow. I want to say that in 2001, I don't know if I'm getting something now, with the formation of the Ministry of Telecommunications, Science, Technology, and Industry, one of the first of its kind in the Caribbean, there were some clear handicaps. We conducted several reviews of our national human capacity in ICT and the personnel who were adequately trained in the essential areas of ICT. There was naturally a heavier concentration in the private sector, in the employment of the providers, but there was a profound deficiency in the government and the national pool. Today, we're celebrating 15 years of the NCTI. I think that deserves a little bit of applause. But a recent public service commission document has revealed over 200 ICT professionals who have been trained in either degrees, postgraduate degrees, and above. I reflect back in 2001 when it was so tough to find one or two. Now, in 2002, I recall an early misunderstanding in thinking that the NTRC and ECTEL structure could provide me with the immediate advisory capacity and personnel, human resource needed for the thrust we were trying to fashion. In developing a whole national ICT industry and achieving the true benefits of liberalization, I actually attempted and lobbied to have the NTRC set up in the ministry that we had established. And rightly so, I had to give up that thought and accepted the fact that the NTRC had to be independent. As a matter of fact, independent of government influence. Now, this was quite strange because in the early stage, the NTRC and ECTEL were always very shy of engaging the media. So although they had to be independent, I found myself being the voice of the regulatory process. Somewhat paradoxical to the pole of them being independent. There was a further blow after being told that the NTRC was just regulated and only interested in regulatory issues. And so naturally this meant having to build a strong separate agency within government virtually from scratch to promote e-government initiatives and develop a national policy. The greatest challenge was getting ministry officials to see the private sector and civil society as part of the process. In the EU-funded SFA04, there was a very important project we had called Special Framework for Systems 04 and 05. We ensured that there was the formation of an e-government ICT advisory committee, which was headed by Snoke Bradley Williams, who represented the private sector. And also there was a role and a place for civil society. And Rudy Daniel, who's also, I believe he's in the BDI, also filled that particular role. And the important thing here is, you see, it's often a natural inherent process where there's some resistance and distrust between the various sectors. I want to stress this point. There's a natural and inherent level of distrust between government, private sector, and that of civil society. The presence of providers in a room can sometimes be considered by some as a risk of revealing privileged information that may benefit one company over the other. Or that civil society may strike up some form of protest when there's some major disagreement over a compromise with the private sector or an issue that they feel might be affecting consumers. Regionally, some providers today actually would like to block WhatsApp. They would like to block Facebook, citing significant revenue losses through these services. Invariably, unless a provider is or was represented at the table in a room by their CEOs, we often found that there wasn't a great level of contribution from the private sector. Today, I'm really glad to see such a wide and varied representation of persons across the three sectors as members of this Internet Society Chat. And the enthusiasm seems to transcend the various sectors, irrespective of whether private, civil society, or that of government. Now, still regionally, I've had the honor of being the president of the CTU, the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. Matter of fact, I was president for almost 6 years. During its lean years, its revival years. And as a matter of fact, I recall chairing the first Internet Society Forum. I want to congratulate them on reaching their 13th. And I was also pretty proud of being chosen to represent the Caribbean at the UN, Rome, Uruguay, Mexico, Geneva, several other places. Why I say that is that too often I had to wait and do much of my own research without in-depth professional policy research required to make important decisions. Decisions that were critical for both the national level and the regional level. Yes, there were trusted individuals who offered reliable opinions, but I believe policymakers today, more so than ever, absolutely require well-informed, accurate, even though varied opinion on important policy, and developing a better understanding of the pros and cons of any particular decision towards making a consensus decision on any policy. More so, apart from advisors in the ministry itself, what is even more critical beyond the views of even the providers is the new emerging ICT business sector who are on the cutting edge of new technology and also that of civil society and consumers. For well over a decade, any online consultation from the NTRC on pricing, quality of service, interconnection, etc., only had a one-sided response, that from the providers, We did not have a consumer organization. We didn't have various ICT professionals submitting their own opinions. And I believe a number of bad decisions were made and policy was diluted. I believe this Internet Society chapter offers a unique opportunity and could serve a very important role to promote greater discussion and understanding of ICT issues and challenges today, where both an individual and a consensus or collective opinion can be submitted, especially when consultations were in place. At our last online chapter meeting of the Internet Society chapter in July, to review questions on the state of ICT in St. Vincent for an upcoming meeting, I was surprised as to the lack of awareness of some of the legislation that's already in place. Now, ECTEL has a new impending Electronic Communications Act to replace the old Telecommunications Act. I will probably go to Parliament later this year. The NTRC has a list of all the regulations that are in place on their website. There's already an Electronic Transactions Act, an Electronic Crimes Act, passed and promulgated in 2017. And also there's a move to implement encryption services throughout with the assistance of the Taiwanese as part of the multi-purpose ID system. I want to recommend that at least these 4 documents are provided to each member as essential reading for familiarity, such that discussions between professionals I believe, will be difficult if they're not all on a similar page and if they don't have that basic information about what legislation actually exists. In the case of the Electronic Communications Act, it would be unfortunate and embarrassing if the ISOC SVG offered opinion after the act has already been passed. If you get around to offer an opinion after the act has already been passed, when hidden red flags or errors or pitfalls can be discovered by you as professionals and trumpeted now. A well-recognized world leader has said, I sure as hell don't want to let people that want to kill us and kill our nation use our internet. The person also said, we're losing a lot of people because of the internet. We have to go see Bill Gates and a lot of different people that really understand what's happening. We have to talk to them about maybe in certain areas closing the internet up in some way. Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. Now, some may recognize these 2 quotes of Donald Trump. What is your view on net neutrality? Someone else said, you can't take something off the internet. It's like trying to take piss or take pee out of a swimming pool. Now, this summarizes the inappropriate and often illegal use of the internet. The challenges of freedom of information versus privacy is real. especially with the coming Internet of Things. Then there are standards and quality and interoperability. The quality of Internet service in the Grenadines we quote it as being wild. Some may say it stinks. How can this be addressed? What is your opinion? So the opinion of the Internet Society should not be just an internal talk shop among members only. The real challenge is how do we inform and educate even the least advantage of our society, that this medium is a force for good. How do we make it safer, especially through personal individual responsibility, integrity, and safe action? And how do we use it to build a better nation, a better region, and the world? With those words, as I said, I don't want to talk anything very technical. I just wanted just to open up. And I hope I didn't use too, bad language. But I want to thank you very much. I really wish I'm a proud member of the ISO SVG chapter.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for such a wonderful presentation. We appreciate you drawing your attention to some key issues that we as members of this forum over the next 3 days should take on board and should consider and should actively put forward as well, especially tomorrow and on Wednesday when we have a chance to connect with the more regional group of this conference. Advocacy, it is our responsibility, as Dr. Thompson said, to be advocates for issues as it relates to the internet and our engagement with the internet. As consumers, we consume it every single day. We use it as part of our daily lives, our work lives, and our private lives. So it is important to have a say. And as part of the Internet Society, I think the key importance of a body like this is to be the voice of the wider public, to put forward these issues to the governing bodies and those in authority to make these decisions. So advocacy is a key point. Considering the danger of the internet, the fact that there's a blurring of the public and private spheres, that is a very serious issue, and it's a real issue, when you may think you're posting something privately in your social network, it's not private, once it goes out, you can't take it off. Again, it's out there. And although it's under lock and key to you, someone somewhere, some clever part somewhere, if they want it, they can find it, So it's thinking about security in not a physical state, but a virtual state, and how we can address those issues, how we can keep ourselves safe, our children safe, keep our businesses safe, financial records, etc., safe on the internet. So these are all issues that we hope to address over the next few days. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. This is Mr. Dean. So Mr. Dean comes to us from back of St. Vincent and Grenadines. He is currently the network administrator there. He has been in network administration for over 12 years, right? He's Cisco certified Microsoft engineer, a member of the International Society of Network Auditors, and he is also a proud member of ISO SVG, not just a member, but he's our vice president of the society. So we appreciate his presence here today. He's a specialist in networking and network security, and he is going to discuss with us this morning objective and mandate, right, of the Internet Society. Right? Yes.
Thank you for that brief introduction. Right. So this morning I want to talk to you a little bit about ISOC, the SVG chapter, and our objective, our goals, and what we have in store for St. Vincent. Right? So it is great. It's with great honor and pride that I welcome you, the participants, today on the 13th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, hosted here under the auspices of the NCTI, and by extension, Mr. Charles Burke. So we thank you for partnering with the ISOC SVG chapter on this very momentous and historic event, and allowing us the privilege of using your facilities. I use the word historic because this is the first of many forums that the SVG chapter will organize. I'm here today to speak to you a bit about our chapter that was recently formed, the rules, objectives, and goals, and mandates. A bit of the history and generally what we're about. The SVG chapter was formed after a civil society presentation was done on May 9, 2017. And the realization was brought forward that St. Vincent and the Grenadines was one of the last English-speaking countries in the Caribbean that lacked representation at the ISOC level. As a result, our now president, Roxanne John, volunteered her time and efforts and made a personal commitment to ensure that SVG is now represented. She was able to rally members and get all involved so that the relevant documentation and procedures were put in place to get the chapter formed. She's not here, but I guess if she was here, we'd probably go around. Let me explain briefly what ISOC is about so that you get a fundamental understanding as to why this chapter is necessary. The Internet Society is an American non-profit organization founded in 1992, about 25 years ago. And it was formed to provide leadership in Internet-related standards, education access, and policy. Its mission is to promote the open development, evolution, and use of the Internet for the benefit of all people throughout the world. The Internet Society is a parent corporation of the IETF, which is the Internet Engineering Task Force, and is operated for the international educational, charitable, and scientific purposes, amongst which are to facilitate and support the technical evolution of the Internet as a research and educational infrastructure, and to stimulate involvement of the academic, scientific, and the engineering community. Among others, in the evolution of the Internet, is used to educate the academic and scientific communities and the public concerned in the technology use and application of the Internet. To promote scientific and educational applications of Internet technologies for the benefit of educational institutions at all grade levels, industries, and at public at large. It is used to provide a forum for exploration of new Internet applications and to foster collaboration among organizations in their operations and use of the Internet. Why does all of this matter? The Internet makes the world a better place. Since its creation, it has given us a unique platform for innovation, creativity, and economic opportunity. The Internet improved the quality of life for people in all parts of the world and can continue to do so. One of the reasons that ISOC was formed is because they believed in access for all. There's a lot of talk today about network neutrality and open access. In a technical sense, it means an internet that has no idea what's being transported on it, No matter if it's a giant database of files or a small video of your family's vacation, you might want to post on YouTube. Simply put, it's neutral architecture that's open to every conceivable type of application that could be developed around the world. But for a lot of us, net neutrality is about our rights as internet and web users, so we can innovate, with the only restriction being the technical protocols. It also means you can log on to a reliable and affordable web connection, so you can do things like express your ideas how you want, write your blog, post a video on YouTube, call your family on Skype, stay connected to your culture, friends and family, finish your homework at home and turn it in on time. Tell your own stories, no matter who you are, how much you earn, where you live, or what you believe in. Shaping the future of the internet. The Internet Society helps to make sure the beliefs at the core of the internet's success remains with people that use it. Policies will shape if it stays that way, or if control shifts away from the users and more towards network owners. We envision a future in which people around the world can use the internet to improve their quality of life. Standards, technologies, business practice, and government policies can sustain an open, universally accessible platform for innovation, creativity, and economic opportunity. Our vision of an internet that is truly for everyone gives us our strength, motivation, and energy. So now that you understand the importance of ISOC, you will now be able to appreciate the purpose of the creation of a local chapter to serve the community of St. Vincent and Grenadines. The purpose of the chapter is to advance and promote the ISOC principles and goals, to serve the interests of this segment of the global internet community through a local presence, focusing on local issues and developments, promoting security, access, and use of the internet. To foster the community's participation in areas important to the evolution and further development of the internet. Some of the specific country activities we hope to be involved with are engage in a wide range of internet educational initiatives, promote the expansion of internet access at all levels of the local community, promote recruitment and job market development in local technology industries, provide forums for professional networking and knowledge sharing, promote best practices on the internet, security, protection of privacy, protection of human rights, help enforce the fight against cybercrime and raise awareness, develop and lead initiatives for the expansion of broad community access and infrastructure development, act as an advocate for the best interests of the members of the local internet users. The chapter will serve persons who live or work in St. Vincent and Grenadines in all 6 parishes: St. David, Charlotte, St. Patrick, St. Andrew, St. George, and the Grenadines. The chapter, of course, is a non-profit organization under the laws of St. Vincent and Grenadines. And I'll go into a little bit about the general membership information here. Currently, we have 41 members to the SVG chapter, including the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. People from all walks of life, technical, business, corporate hosts, and just regular people that have an interest and use the internet. As long as you use the internet, you too can have a say and an input on some of these regulations on internet governance. The members of the chapters are also members of the Internet Society. Membership is not necessary, however, for participation in activities of the society or its chapters, you must become a member. All individuals and organizations falling within the defined scope of the chapter are eligible to be membership. There shall be 3 classes of membership in this chapter: individual membership, student membership, and corporate membership. Student memberships are open to all full-time students. So if there are students here today, you're a student, right? You're a student. Oh, okay. So If there are any students here today that are interested in becoming members, they can contact any current member of the chapter body that will be able to guide you and provide the requisite information to help you along your way. There are a host of opportunities that can be derived from being a student member. So bear that in mind. You will just have to keep your ears tuned and follow the chapter to hear about these upcoming beneficial opportunities. There are also grants available. We have something in the regional fund for digital information innovation in the Latin American and Caribbean. So that's freed up. These programs promote the development of innovative approaches to the internet and communication technology challenges in developing regions by providing grants, seed funds to kickstart and sustain ICT research. The chapter will let you know about these things as time moves forward. So with all that being said, I want to welcome you again to the 13th Annual Internet Governance Forum. I hope that you are all well informed and take something away from this meeting. With these kinds of free initiatives, we need to take advantage of these opportunities. That's how we will make an impact for the next generation and ensure internet freedom for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Right, so we're all informed as to the background of ISOC and how to become a member, whether it's professional, whether it's as a student, whether it's as an organizational body. I think that we're all aware of that now, some vital information. So on that note, we have an early break today, so we can have a refresher. There is tea, coffee, juice, and some levels located in the kitchen area that we can go and refresh ourselves with. And straight down the hall, lab 1, is it? Lab 1 is where we can gather, sit, and network while we refresh ourselves. Okay, so we will be back here at 10:45. Where we will be graced with the presentation from Mr. Harry Salera, and we'll continue with it. Okay? Any questions from anyone? Bathroom, thank you. Bathroom is just as we exit this door, it's on your right.